It is the third hour of the Elias Macko Show. Now, many of you know that in my family, we were affected by this terrible disease that is called ALS. Some of you know it as Lou Gehrig's disease. It was in 2020 that my mother was diagnosed with ALS. Last year in November, she lost her battle with the disease. Obviously, I've been very interested in following developments when it comes to treatments, possible cures for ALS, especially when I see story after story of Canadians affected by ALS. Well, there is some good news. Health Canada has approved a new medication to treat ALS. It's the first worldwide approval of the medication, since in the U.S., the FDA is expected to make a decision on the drug in the fall. Are we any closer to a cure? Let's find out. Dr. Angela Genge is on the line, director of the ALS Global Center for Excellence at the Montreal Neurological Institute. And of course, Dr. Genge, I know you quite well. You were my mother's doctor for her treatment, and it's great to talk to you once again.
Nice to be here, Elias, and nice to be here with some good news.
Yeah, so let's talk about this good news. What is this drug? What does it hope to do? What have studies and research shown that it does do?
So this is a medication that you take by mouth. It's actually a powder. It's a combination of two products that were available, and no one was thinking of using them in ALS at the time. And the founders of the company put them together because of their effect on a certain part of the motor nerves, which are the cells that die in ALS. And really it's about making sure the engine or the machinery within these motor nerves are able to calm down at least for a while and allow the motor nerves to function for a little bit longer. So what the clinical trial actually showed, it was run only in the U.S. They tried to get it here, but they recruited so quickly we never opened up as a site. What it showed is people with ALS who take this medication stay stronger for longer, is how I put it. Mm-hmm. The loss of function that is the hallmark of developing this disease slows down. So they walk a little longer, they do things for themselves a little longer. It's called a slowing of the loss of decline. And they showed, in fact, that if the patient stayed on the medication even after the trial was complete, that patients in the study lived on average 6.5 months longer on the drug from the beginning than if they were not on the drug. So in a disease like ALS, 6 months means a lot. Mm-hmm. We're really talking about life expectancies that are similar to pancreatic cancer. So being able to walk for longer, being able to do your usual activities for longer is a big deal.
So, one thing I've heard, and obviously learning a lot over the last a few years with my mother's diagnosis, is that when it comes to these types of treatments and new medications, sometimes Canada is a little bit slow. So I'm intrigued to see that it's been approved by Health Canada before the U.S. Am I correct here in saying that is a surprise that Health Canada has approved it first?
Well, it's a surprise, but not a surprise. We've been working in Canada as a community to really educate Health Canada on how critical time is for patients with ALS. I'm sure you remember Montreal Genge, pardon my pronunciation,
yes,
who was Speaker of the House and developed a very rapidly progressive form. Well, after that, the Federal House of Commons set up an all-party caucus to help further advancements in treatments for ALS. They've worked with the ALS societies across the country and people like me, and really Health Canada has really put a lot of effort into doing timely and appropriate reviews of drugs that are coming forward for ALS. So it was not as much of a surprise to me as it may have been to the community because of the efforts we've made. And basically, Health Canada has said this is a terrible disease. We have one study that shows that it has a benefit. There is a second study that's running right now in the U.S. and Europe that is to confirm the benefit. So the way that Health Canada has said this is we are going to allow Canadians access to this drug with conditions, and the condition is just waiting for the results of the second trial. So I consider this, I'm actually quite proud of Health Canada for taking this route because patients can benefit while we're waiting for the results of the other trial.
We're with Dr. Angela Genge, director of the ALS Global Center for Excellence at the Montreal Neurological Institute. We're talking about a new treatment, new drug against ALS. So I hate pronouncing these drug names because I'm always afraid I'm gonna pronounce them wrong. So tell me what this drug is called. And
no, you're putting me on the spot.
Okay, so it's not just me. It's not just me.
You pronounce it badly, and then I'll pronounce it badly.
Albrioza? Does that make sense?
Albrioza. I still call it AMX0035,
okay.
But it's called Albrioza. The gods that make up medication names are against us once again. And it is a powder. It will be available. The manufacturing plant in Canada has already been set up and is running, and we expect to have it available before the end of the summer by prescription in Canada. There is another step, as you know, Elias. Once Health Canada approves a medication, then the provinces have to decide whether or not they're going to make it available provincially. And that process actually, in this instance, occurred in parallel with the Health Canada submission. So we should be hearing from these committees, one's called CADIS and one's called INES, relatively soon about how they're going to allow access to the patients in the community.
And of course, drugs for rare diseases sometimes have astronomical price tags. The drug that my mother was taking for ALS, I believe it was $190,000 a year, some price like that. Is this the same thing with this? Is this going to be, or is this something different about this drug where it's a little bit more reasonable priced?
So, Elias, it's a great question. The only comment I have, and I really don't know what the price will be, is that this is a medication take by mouth, and in general, if a medication is given by intravenous, it is more expensive than one taken by mouth. So I think the one that your mom was on was intravenous, and that certainly increases the cost.
What do you think, Dr. Genge, just, looking forward to the future, and looking to a cure? Well, what's the state of research? How hopeful are you?
So I am really very hopeful. I wish everything could move faster. I wish trials could move faster. There are, in addition to this drug, there are actually 4 that I feel quite strongly we need to move forward. They're already in clinic. One has already finished their clinical trial, and the company is determining what they can do in terms of asking the regulators for approval. So we've had a huge movement of better drugs targeting ALS. And fortunately, there's a lot of interest in drug companies in developing these drugs. So I do think that some of our new technology in terms of making drugs is going to make a difference. One set of drugs is a little bit like this drug called Spinraza that's available for spinal muscular atrophy. There's another drug being developed that looks a little bit like the drug produced for a very rare disease called amyloid. So I do think there is a future where ALS will be a treatable disease. It just is never fast enough for the rest of us, as you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Genge, thank you so much for coming on the program and your time this morning.
Thank you, Elias. Have a great day.
That's Dr. Angela Genge, director of the ALS Global Center for Excellence at the Montreal Neurological Institute. I do want to point out a couple of other things that are on the calendar this week with regards to ALS. June is ALS Awareness Month. tomorrow night, ALS Quebec and Claudine Cook and the team at ALS Quebec have been doing so much tremendous work. Tomorrow night, ALS Quebec is holding a research event. So to find out more about all of the latest research, if you, a family member, someone in your life has been affected by ALS, you want to find out more about the latest research, go to the ALS Quebec website and find out the details about their research event that's happening tomorrow. And then on Saturday, June 18th, this Saturday, it's the ALS, it's the walk to end ALS, the walk to end ALS happening in Montreal, and 5 other Quebec cities where you can walk with family and friends. If you want to find out more on that, again, go to the ALS Quebec website.